Hello guys. We'll be starting with Linguistic Olympiads today. The IOL, International Olympiad of Linguistics, is a science Olympiad that is conducted annually. It is especially underrepresented as of now. So I aim to start a community of linguistics, mainly related to problem solving here. So let's start. So today we'll cover the introduction to linguistic problems. Now, when people think about linguistics, they think about learning languages. Sure, it is a part of it, but but in linguistic Olympiads, it is not essentially that. You just need to know one language. Linguistics, in the context of the Olympiad, is more about problem solving. Let's start. This video is specially garnered for people who are not introduced to linguistic problems. And even if you know linguistic problems and you know how to solve them, it is a good introduction and a recap to what you know. So let's start. So linguistic problems usually consist of a data set in any language you do not know, usually, with their accompanied English translations, which can be ordered or maybe in chaos, which we'll cover later. Now, as I said, linguistic problems, you don't need to know that language, the language you're solving. You just need to know the language you speak, and basic grammar rules. These problems are usually self consistent and self sufficient. And once some of the rules are discovered, for the problems, any of the examples that are given in the problem, they should be applicable to all of them. For the examples, there might be exceptions and rules if you're following the entire language, but at least in the examples, they should all be applicable. That is, if you found the correct rules. Now, what are the structure of linguistic problems? Now, they usually start with an introduction which explains what the language is. Uh, as you can see here, written given below are some dash 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 in language this, and their English translations, or they are in random order or whatever. We'll cover them later. Now, this information might or might not be useful considering the problem. Suppose you're solving an easy problem, which you know it's easy. So the introduction is usually not very useful. But usually in like complex problems that of IOL, they're useful in some contexts. That do not mostly. So you can kind of ignore this part. Now, the main part that comes is the data set. It is also known as the corpus, but forget all these words. Uh, Now there can be two types of problems. One can be a Rosetta Stone problem, or one can be a chaos and order problem. Now a Rosetta Stone problem usually comprises of you have this random language, and their English translations. Now these are structured, and these are usually in problems which are like longest sentences. We'll cover the types of problems which usually have this, but just think of them as ordered. Now, while we'll talk about chaos and order, it's more of like a matching problem when you get into solving. So this is something, its translation might be either of these three, or this or this or this, for this to this or this or this. These are the main two problems that are found in linguistic Olympiads. You'll get to know how to identify these kind of problems as you go along with solving them. So don't worry about it right now. Now, how you actually earn some of the points is the tasks, of course. Now, if it is the Rosetta Stone problem, like the ordered one, or the chaos and order one, it is quite easy to just identify them through the tasks. Because if in the task it's written that match the following or something, it's a chaos and order. And if it is not written, or it is written that translate into English or whatever, it is usually a Rosetta Stone problem. Uh, Now, the notes at the end. So if you see it in a proper order, this would be the introduction, this would be the data set, this would be the task, and this would be like 2 or 3 lines of footnotes. Now these basically provide like what are the languages. Like suppose I'm solving say Hindi, so it would that provide me that Hindi is an Indo-Aryan language from India, which is usually spoken in northern India, same as its written language family under the Zenadals, which might or might not be used. So, as I was saying, it doesn't really matter the footnotes. If you're a very experienced linguistic Olympiad, it might matter to you as you might already know the properties of languages from that particular geographical location. But don't worry about it right now again. Other information may be phonetic, which are the specific sounds in that language. Again, on the problem, it may or may not be useful. And quite a common thing, there might be some, say, tropical fruits or names for tropical food, fruits, vegetables in the native language, which are usually useful to the language. So keep an eye of them. Now we can classify linguistic problems into several things. These are usually closely related to specific fields in linguistics. The first are the writing systems, also known as orthography. Now, usually, these problems have an unfamiliar writing system of any language given with their translations in English, Latin script as given. Now, you have to decipher usually each letter or each syllable or whatever, we'll cover it in the later, and match them and solve other. Now, these can be the Rosetta Stone or chaos and order. From what I've seen, these are like 50-50. These can be either Rosetta Stone or chaos order, no particular majority. Now the others are phonetics and phonology. Phonetics and phonology are quite study of sounds which directly embed into linguistic problems. These usually uh, jingle, as I would like to say, with the different sounds. These are usually not like a specific category, but these are usually embedded into problems which you need to identify. Quite a bad experience, but still, they are quite useful for the entire full solve, getting a 20 on 20 or 25 on 20. Now, then there's morphology, the study of words. Now, here you'll usually need to classify morphemes, the smallest single unit of meaning. These problems can be divided into noun phrases and verb phrases. These can either be Rosetta Stone or chaos and order. Doesn't really matter. These are quite fun to solve. Then there's syntax. It is the study of sentences, you can say. So you have these are usually Rosetta Stone because for chaos and order it becomes too complex to see. But these are usually combining morphology into a large statement and then deciphering the grammatical rules. These are the poster boys for linguistic Olympiads. These are the most common type of problems you have to face. So you must be good at solving these. Then there's semantics. It's all about meanings, the most bizarre meanings you can find out. So these are not on grammatical rules. You have to find the bizarrest meanings, match them, and then usually find other meanings using the bizarre translations you found. And now the number systems, if you've done maths, base systems, these usually figure out base systems and languages how they deal with numbers. Now, these translation might or might not be order, might be Rosetta Stone, might not be chaos, and might not be Rosetta Stone. These can be directly numbers or mathematical equation. Uh, at lower level Olympiads, it's usually numbers, but as you go up, it's equations with almost no Indo-Arabian letters. So beyond that, now other types of problems include poetry based problems, calendars, kinship problems, and directions, which are very less. You won't find them like a lot in high level Olympiads, even in the lower level ones. Now, on the stats, the most common, as I said, is syntax. uh, Syntax is like, it would be there in every linguistics Olympiad. It is, as I said, the poster boy for linguistics. Then there's morphology, also for 19%, phonetics and phonology 13.5%, orthography 12%, number systems 9, and semantics 7. I do doubt these numbers a little bit because semantics are very common in higher level Olympiads. But I'll go with the stats in this book. By the way, this book is called Linguistic Olympiad Training Guide by Vlad. You can just search it up on Google and you'll find a PDF of it. We'll be using this book as well as some other Olympiad resources to finish no linguistics is everlasting, to get a good hold on linguistics for you guys and for me too. Okay, so let's start with understanding the problem. We'll just go through like very, very basic parts of many examples. So this is the first example. It's just an example of noun phrase morphology. Now don't try solving this. You can't solve this because we don't have enough data. So this is what you can expect for a very simple noun phrase morphology problem. Since we have so many distinct nouns as well as distinct noun cells, we can just figure out that bakra means cow, fury means flowers. Now we can't find out any grammatical rules because again we don't have enough data, or fill in the blanks because we don't have enough data. So we'll just leave it. This is just an example. Now this is an example for a writing script problem, orthography as we say. Another example of this is semantics. In Turkish, dil means language. So translate linguist and mute to Turkish. This is a semantics problem. Again, we don't have enough data for any of these, so don't worry about solving these. So now, in the next video, we'll be covering solution writing. Now, of course, we don't have much introduction to even linguistic problems, so I'll just be giving a very brief on how a problem should be written. We'll also be uploading walkthroughs of problems, so stay tuned, I guess. Bye-bye.